In this project, we're going to be building a business theme using Bootstrap. All right, so this is going to be the first project that we're really going to focus on having a nice design, a nice clean design. Like I said, we're using Twitter Bootstrap. We're also going to use Font Awesome that allows us to add some nice looking icons. We're also going to be implementing a couple things that we haven't done yet, such as the theme customizer. All right, so this is the home page here. You can see we have this big jumbotron, this showcase area. We're actually going to be able to change the text of this through the theme customizer. All right, same with these three boxes here. So we'll have a title for each one, some text, and you can also choose the icon class. Okay, these two areas here, these are widgets, so these will be available on every page. And then in the footer, we also have 3 more widgets. All right, these are just static text widgets. Okay, one has a form. If we click on the main blog page, you can see it looks pretty nice. We have this title bar here. On pages like this, it'll just say the name of the page or the area. If we click on a post, it'll actually have the post title or the page title. All right, so we have this little meta area here with the author, the date, and the categories. We have the title, the main content. Click on read more, takes us to a single page. We'll have a nice looking comment area. Okay, we'll customize that. You can see that these two widgets are also available in all pages really. Same thing with the footer widgets. If we click on about, that's just a main about page. You can see we have some text. I just put a contact button here. We also have all our widgets. We also have the sidebar widgets, which we have categories and archives. Services, same thing. That's just another page, same formatting. Now if we go in the back end and we go to themes, actually we can go to customize. And we did deal with this a little bit in past projects. We did do the logo. So if we click site identity, we have an area to upload the logo. Okay, we've already done that. But in this project, we're implementing 2 new sections as well. We have the banner. If we click on that, we can select an image for the background. We can change the text. And this will actually update live. You can see as I type, it'll update in this preview area, which is really cool. We have the text, the button text, as well as the button URL. If we click on boxes, we have areas to change the heading and the text. Also the icon class using Font Awesome, you can change that as well. Alright, so that's what we'll be building. I think it has a nice clean look to it. Of course, we'll be using the Nav Walker class that we used in the past Bootstrap project. So that's it. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so before we get into coding the WordPress theme, we're going to first just create the HTML template, okay, just using HTML and CSS. And this is a Bootstrap theme, and I'm actually going to take one of the example templates and start from that. Okay, so if we go to getbootstrap.com and go to Getting Started, and we scroll down, actually you can click over on Examples. What we're going to start with is this narrow jumbotron template. So let's click on that. And what we'll do is do a Control U so we can see the source code, and let's go ahead and create our template folder. Okay, so I'm just going to call this business. Actually, we'll call it business HTML. Alright, and let's open that up. And before we actually copy that, let's go ahead and download Bootstrap. Okay, we'll open that up, and then we're going to take CSS. Actually, we'll create our own CSS folder, and all we need from here is bootstrap.css. Okay, we're also going to have a JS folder, and then we'll bring over bootstrap.js. Okay, so that's all we need from this package. Now what we'll do is create an index page. Okay, then we'll open that up. And what we'll do is grab all that source code. Okay, we'll just grab the entire thing and paste that in. Now we're going to go through and just remove what we don't need. Okay, make it a lot more simple than this. Let's get rid of these comments. We don't need these meta tags right here. Okay, for the title, just for now, I'm going to change it to just business theme. Okay, now we need to point to our Bootstrap CSS, so we're going to just remove that. And we're using the non-minified file, so just bootstrap.css. And then the rest of the stuff in the head we can actually just get rid of. Alright, now we're going to have a custom style sheet, so let's copy this. And we'll just change this to style.css. And we might as well create that now. So this will be style.css. Okay, we might as well open that up as well. Now in the body, actually before we get to that, let's go ahead and download Font Awesome. Okay, so if we click download and we open that up, what we want from here is the CSS file, so we want that. Let's bring that over to our project. Okay, we're also going to take the fonts folder. Okay, we'll bring that right over. And that's it. So we want to also point to that file, so let's go ahead and copy that. And let's just change this to font awesome.css. Moving down into the body, we have our nav bar here. Okay, for home, let's change that to index.html. This one here will be about.html, and then this one, this contact, I'm going to change to blog. Okay, project name. Now, we're actually going to use a logo, a really simple logo that I created. So I'm going to just change that to image source. We'll say img. We'll have a folder called img, and then logo.png. Okay, so let's go add that. You should have it in your project files. So I'm going to create a new folder here called img, and I'm going to just paste this in. So now we'll move on to the Jumbotron. Now this, we can just keep that as it is right now. Alright, going down we have this, we have another row with the class of marketing. That just adds some extra padding. Before we do anything else, let's just go ahead and save this. Now if we go and look at it, okay, so it doesn't look like the example, which is, where is it? This right here. And the reason for that is this has a custom CSS file. If we look at the source code, there's a file called jumbotronnarrow.css. We want to click on that, and then we just want to copy everything that's in there and go and paste that in our style.css file. Okay, now if we save that and go back, now it looks just like the demo. Alright, now that style CSS file actually has a lot of code that we don't need, so I really want to just clean this up. Okay, we don't need all the comments for one thing. I mean, you can keep them if you'd like. I just don't. I like to make it as clean and simple as possible. We don't really need these comments. We can actually get rid of these media, these these styles here. And let's see, we don't even need this. So everything from this media tag down we can get rid of. And let's see, I don't think we need this right here either. Alright, let's save that and see what we get. Okay, so we need to just make that narrow. Let's create a container. Okay, there's a class called container, and we're just going to set a width to that. Actually, we'll set a max width. Okay, this template will be completely responsive as well. So I'm going to say max width 1020 pixels. There we go. Okay, I don't want it narrow like the demo. So that looks good. Now, this area here isn't going to be here. What I want to go here is those three boxes, all right, which will have an icon, a heading, and a paragraph, all right, which we have right here, a heading and a paragraph. So what we'll do is go into index.html, and where we have this row right here, row marketing, and then what we have is two 6-column divs. What we want is 3 4-column divs. So let's go ahead and just get rid of those and these, and let's change this to 4, change that to 4, and then we just need one more of these. Okay, I also want to change the H4s to H3s. Okay, and this row here, all the rows, I'm going to use a section tag instead of a div, just to help organize a little better. Alright, now we're also going to need our icons. So if you've ever used Font Awesome, you know that we use an I tag, and then we need the FA classes. So FA, and then to get the actual icon, you need that icon's class. In this case, it's FA bar chart. And then we want it to be a little bigger, so we're going to add FA3, and then just end the tag. Alright, so let's copy that. This one here, we're going to change from bar chart to code, FA code. And then this one here, we're going to change it to FA desktop. Save, and let's take a look. Okay, so for some reason the FA3 class, it's supposed to make it bigger, but for some reason the number, the FA dash, and then the size, they don't work by default. So we're just going to have to add our own class to make those bigger. Alright, we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, I just want to finish the HTML. So the next area is going to be that big green area with the heading and the paragraph. So let's go right below this section, and then we're going to open another section. Okay, this is going to have a class of row, and we're also going to call this content region 1. Alright, and this is actually going to be a widget position when we build the theme. We're also going to want some padding, so I'm going to create some padding classes. This is going to be PT50, so padding top 50, and then padding bottom 40. Alright, now in here we're going to add a container class, and then we want our column class, which will be call MD12, because we want it to go across the whole screen. And then we can put our H1, so we'll say clean Bootstrap WordPress theme. And then for the paragraph, I'm just going to grab that and paste it in. Alright, and you notice that I gave it the class of lead. This is a Bootstrap class that will just make it bigger. Okay, let's do some indentation here. Okay, save that. If we reload, doesn't look very good, okay, but that's the HTML. We'll get to the CSS in a little bit. So we're going to need the next widget area. I'm actually going to just copy this, and we're going to change this to content region 2. And this is going to have padding top 40 and padding bottom 40. Alright, and then instead of having one 12 column div, we're going to have two. We're going to have one that is 5. Okay, so an image is going to go there. And then we'll have another column with 7. And that'll be where we put the list. Okay, so here let's put an image tag. And we're going to say source equals img slash pic1.jpg. Alright, and all of these images will be in your project files. On this side, we're going to have an unordered list. So let's put a heading here. We'll just say theme features. And then I'm going to just paste in a UL with the class of list group. And then each LI will have a class of list group item. Alright, and also I put an icon, a check icon, next to each one. So let's save that. And actually I need to put the image in the correct folder, so let's do that. I'm actually going to paste in all of the images. You should have these in a folder called _images. Alright, and then this pic1 right here is the one that we're putting there. So let's go ahead and reload. Okay, so now we have the pic and then we have the list. Now it's big because we didn't set a width to it. We're going to want to set it to width 100%, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So after that section, we have the footer. And the footer, just like with the boxes, will have 3 4-column divs. So I'm actually going to copy what we have right here and put that in the footer. Alright, and then we'll just clear out each 4-column div. Okay, so each one will have an H4 heading. So I'm just going to say heading. And let's put in a paragraph. Actually, before we do that, let's add a container div here, because we want it to all be pushed towards the middle. Alright, so I'm going to just paste in a paragraph here, and then for the next one is going to be just a heading and then an unordered list. And then the last one is going to be a heading and a simple form. Okay, so it has a name, email, and a message field. So let's save that and go and reload. And then we get our 3 footer widget areas. Alright, so that's the HTML for the index page. I know it doesn't look too good yet, but we will fix that. In the next part of this lecture, we're going to create the other pages. So we're going to have an inner page for about, and then the blog page, and then the single blog page. Alright, so we'll get to that next. Hey guys, in the last video we implemented Bootstrap in our HTML template, and we created the index HTML. We haven't done the styling yet, but we're going to hold off on that for now, and we just need to create a couple more pages for our template. So let's create an example of an inner page. Okay, so in WordPress this will be just a regular page. So I'm going to call this about.html. Okay, and we're going to open that up. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, we'll open that up with Sublime. And we can also access it from the link, okay, about HTML. So what I'm going to do is copy everything that's in the index. Alright, and then let's go ahead and save it. So we're not going to want the Jumbotron here, so let's just completely get rid of that. Okay, get that out of there. We're also not going to want the boxes. We don't want this section either. So we'll get rid of that. And these two areas, the content regions, these can stay. All right. Now we're going to want that title bar area. So let's create a section. Give it a, actually, I'm just going to copy this. Oops. Okay, we'll paste that in. And we're going to get rid of these classes here. The only class I want is row and then title bar. Okay, that'll have a container. It'll have a 12 column div and an H1. Okay, which will have the page name. In this case, it'll be about us. Okay. Now we're going to need an area for the main content. So again, I'm going to copy this section, paste that in, and we're going to have row and then marketing. Okay, it'll have a container. It's going to have an 8 column div for the main area, and then also a sidebar column, which will be a 4 column div. Okay. The main column will just be the content, so I'm just going to paste in a couple paragraphs. I also just put a link here to go to a contact page that doesn't exist. Alright, now in the 4 column, which is the sidebar, let's see, I'm just going to paste a couple things in here. Okay, so we have 2 divs with the class of side widget. This one has an H3 and a paragraph. This one is the categories and has an unordered list, which has the class of list group. So let's go ahead and save that and click on about, and now you can see we have our content and then we have the sidebar. Let's also change the active class on the menu so that that's correct. We're going to take class active off of the home LI and put it onto the about. Okay, so now when we visit about, that's the correct link is highlighted. So that's pretty easy. That's the inner about page. Now for the blog page, let's create that. So we want to create another document here, and we're going to call this blog. Let's call it blog.html. Okay, and then what we'll do is copy what we have in the about page and then paste that in blog. Alright, and then let's go up to here. We're going to change this from about us to blog. And the sidebar can stay the same, but we're going to change what we have in the 8 column div. Alright, so we're going to have an article tag, and it's going to have the class of post. Alright, and let's do 2 columns per article. This one will be 5 columns, so we'll say call MD5, and then we'll do call MD7. Alright, now the 5 column div will have the image as well as the read more. Alright, so let's put in image source. Should already be in there. It's called blog1.jpg. Okay, and then right under that we're going to have our link. This is going to go to a page called single.html, and then we're going to give this a class of btn primary, and then btn block. Okay, and then the text will just say read more. Alright, so now in the 7 column, we're going to have our UL with a class of meta. Okay, this is going to be all the meta data. Okay, so list item, let's say by admin, and let's see, we'll have the date, we'll say May 11th. and then we'll have the category, let's say business. Alright, and this is going to be a link, so we might as well put that in now. It's not going to go anywhere yet. Okay, same thing with the author. Alright, so that's the metadata. Now under the UL, we're just going to have a heading and a paragraph, which I'm going to paste in. Alright, and the blog roll obviously will have a bunch of posts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a div between each article just to clear everything out. So we're going to call this CLR, and then I'll just copy this article, and I'm going to just paste it 2 more times. And then what we'll do is let's change the image. Okay, this one will be blog2.jpg, and this one will be blog3. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Alright, so the image, obviously that's it looks horrible. Let me just fix that just for now. So if we go to our CSS, we'll say article.post image, set the width to 100%. There we go. Alright, so that's good for now. The last thing we have is the single page. Alright, so let's go and create that. We'll create a new file called single.html. Alright, and then we'll open that up. And I'm going to copy what we have in blog and paste that in single, and then what we'll do is we only want one of these articles. Okay, so let's see, the first one is right here. So let's grab these 2 under it and delete them. Okay, if we click read more, that brings us to single. Obviously this isn't what we want, so let's see, in the article we don't want to have 2 columns, we just want 1. So let's change this to a 12 column, and then we can just get rid of this. Alright, and then in the 12 column div, let's see. Actually, you know what? We don't even need we don't even need this. Alright, but first thing we're going to want here is the image. So let's see, image / blog1.jpg. Okay, that's the image. Next we'll have the meta. Okay, actually I'll just copy that from blog. Okay, so that's the meta, and then under that we'll do a line break, and then we want some content. So I'm just going to grab this text, and then here we'll put paragraph, paste this in a couple times, and we'll do one more. Okay. And I think that's going to be it. So let's save it and go back to single, and that's good for now. Alright, we're not going to do the comments. Oh, I want to change the active class and the links on both the single and the blog page. Okay, we just want to take off class active from about and move it to the blog li. Alright, so now we have the HTML done. In the next part, we're going to add the CSS and make this look a lot better. Alright, so we are almost done with the HTML template. What we need to do now is just style it. So we want to go to our style CSS, and let's start with the body. Okay, so I want to add a font size here of 15 pixels. We're going to set the color to a gray, which will be 7A, 7A, 7A. And we're going to set a line height of 1.7 m. Okay. Now all of the links are going to have a green color which matches the logo. So let's go ahead and just add an A tag here and say color, and then the main color is going to be 0FA F97. Okay, now we also want that color for all of the primary buttons. So we're going to add BTN dash primary and set the background to that color. And then we also want the color of the text to be white. Okay, we also want the border color to be white. Okay, let's see if those changed. Okay. Now for the nav, you can see that's still blue. I'm going to just paste something in here. It's kind of stubborn. We have to add a bunch of classes. So let me just, let's go right here. And I'm going to paste this in, okay? Because so you want all of these classes. And set the background to that green color. So now if we go and reload, now it's green. Okay, and if we hover over other links, it's going to be light gray. So let's move on to the Jumbotron. We have quite a bit to do there. We're going to go down right here and let's say dot Jumbotron. And we're going to align everything to the center. We're going to add a border bottom, and that's going to be 1 pixel solid, and let's do E5. Alright, so next let's do, I'm going to add some padding. We're going to say padding top 90 pixels, and also padding bottom will also do 90 pixels. Now we're going to have a background image, so we'll say background, which will be a URL. Okay, and here we're going to say ./image/banner.jpg. Okay, now I'm going to just adjust the position a little bit. We'll say 0 and then -80 pixels. Okay, so that's just going to bring it up a little bit. And then the last thing we want to do here is set the color to white. Alright, so let's go and reload. Now we have an issue here. We want the Jumbotron and the image to go across the entire page, not end here like the rest of the template. So let's take a look at our HTML. See, we want index, and if we go down to where we have the Jumbotron, well actually what I did here, well what it had by default when we use the demo template, it has a container going around the entire site, and I don't want that, so I'm going to get rid of that, and then of course the ending div, which is down at the bottom. Alright, we actually don't need this either. So let's save that and take a look at it. Okay, so in some areas it's extending further where we don't want it to, such as the heading here, as well as these boxes. Not the footer or these widgets because they have their own container. If we look at, let's say, the content region 2 and content region 1, they have the container class. So we just need to add a container to the heading as well as the box area. So let's go up here, and where we have our header, we're just going to add in a container. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so you can see everything now pushed to the middle. Now for the boxes area, which is right here, we'll do the same thing. Okay, reload that. And now everything's pushed in except for the Jumbotron. Now I do want the text and all that, the content, to be restricted, just not the background. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing with the Jumbotron. Okay, we want to go inside the div here and then put a container. And there we go. So let's go back to the CSS. And actually, you know what? The button here, I want that to have a primary class. Okay, by default it had success. Let's just change that to primary. Okay, that'll change the color to the correct green and also give us the white. Now if you notice, when I hover over it we get a blue, and I don't want that. So let's go up to where we have the button primary, and we're going to say btn primary and then hover. So what I want is I want that to have a background of white, and then we'll change the color to that green color, as well as the border to that color. Okay, so now if we go and hover, now it's just white. Alright. Actually, this needs to be border color. Now I also want to have a class to reverse it, to have this be the regular state and then that be the hover. So what I can do is copy that, and we'll say button primary reverse. We'll take what we have here, paste that in, and then we'll take what we have here, paste that in here. Okay, and then we'll just change this to reverse. Okay. We do want to take this off though, the color white. So now let's move along to these boxes. Now each one has a class of block, so let's do the block class. Okay, block is going to have a border, and we're going to set some padding here. We're going to say 20, 20, 30, 20. And we want to just move everything to the center. And then for the H3, we'll say block H3. We're going to set that color to the green. So let's see, this right here. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, so that didn't change anything. I don't know. That's a little weird. Let's see, let's go back. Did I not do the block? No, they don't have the block class. Alright, so in this, where we have the boxes, we want each one to be wrapped in a block class. Okay, there's one. 2. And there's 3. Okay, go back, reload. And there we go. Now for the icon, we have to make those bigger. Remember, we gave each one the class of FA3. So what we'll do is we'll say FA3. And we're going to set font size to 4M, and we're going to label it important. Okay, now the icons, we also want the color to be that green. So we're going to say FA, and we're going to set the color to green. Alright, so things are looking a lot better. Now we want to move on to these widget areas. And I'm just going to paste in a couple things here. So content region 1, we're just adding the green background, color white, text align center. 2, and then we're also doing a 3, which has a black background. 2 has a light gray black background. So if we save that, okay, now you can see we have the green background. Now we want the marketing class to have some margin, so let's do that. I'm going to go right here and say marketing margin is going to be 40 pixels, 0. Okay, so that added some margin here. And let's put some margin on the bottom. Actually, you know what? I don't want margin on the bottom here. These two are going to be right on top of each other. Alright, so let's fix that. Okay, I want to set content region 2 image. We'll set width to 100%. Oh, that didn't work. Content region 2. Oh, I forgot the dash. Alright. So now look, we need some padding here. So I'm going to paste in all my padding classes. Okay, so we have padding top and bottom from 20 to 60 pixels. Alright, so that looks much better. Now I just want to add some styles for the content region headings. So this is for content region 3 H4. This one here is for 1 and 2 H1s. Okay, just 0 padding and margin. Font size is going to be 40. Okay, now down here in the footer is actually going to be content region 3, so I don't think I put that in the HTML. No, I didn't. So right here where we have the footer, we're going to add on to the class here. We're going to say content region 3, and then let's do padding top 30 and padding bottom 40. Okay. Now we have this little bit of white down here, and that's coming from the body tag. So body, I'm going to get rid of this padding bottom 20, and that should fix that. Now for the footer form here, I'm going to just style that. So we're going to paste that in here. Okay, so I'm just saying content region 3, form input, that is text, as well as text area, and we're just setting some padding, background, things like that. Okay, so that looks a lot better. Alright, so now if we visit the About page, now we have to make some changes on the About page, just like we did on Index. You can see that these should be going out all the way. And the reason for that is that we have the container wrapped around the whole page. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's see, business HTML, let's open About. And we're just going to get rid of this container. Alright, let's reload. Okay, and now we just need to add the container to the head area, to the header. Which is right here. Now in the actual WordPress theme, you'll only have one header and one footer, so you won't have to do this, but I just want to fix this just so you have it. And then in the footer, we need to add a couple classes. Where is it? Right here. So we're going to add content region 3, and then we want padding top, what was it? 30 and then 40. All right. Now for the side widget, I'm also going to paste in some classes for that, or some styles for that, I should say. And some of this stuff will change a little bit when we actually build the WordPress theme. Okay, so you can see I put the line for the heading. Now we're going to have the same issue with the blog. Let's see. So these, what I'll do is copy what we just did. For instance, the footer class. Let's take that. And let's open blog HTML and also single HTML. And let's add the footer class. Okay, and then we're going to also remove the container that wraps around the whole thing. And then we want to add a container to the head. All right. Okay, so that looks good. Oh, the title bar, we need to add some styles for that. So I'm going to paste that in. Okay. And then let's see what else. We're going to need some styles for this, for the meta, and for the rest of the post. So let's paste those in. Okay, so the article post itself, we have a border bottom, overflow, padding, and then for the meta, we're going to add a border to the top and bottom. Let's see what else. For the list items in the meta, we want those to float to the left and display inline. And then the image is going to be 100%. Okay, so let's go ahead and reload. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. And then the single page, we also need to get rid of that container that's going around the whole template. And then we should be all set, I believe. Okay. We'll add a container to the head. I know we should have done this earlier, but it's all right. And there we go. Alright, so that's our HTML template. Looks pretty good. In the next video, we're going to start to convert this into a WordPress theme. Alright guys, so we created our HTML template. Now we want to turn it into a WordPress theme. So I have a pretty much a default WordPress installation. I do have a couple blog posts, blog post 1, blog post 2, also created a couple categories. So what I'm going to do is go to my WP content folder and then themes, and in the themes folder we're going to create, I didn't want to do that, I want to create a new folder, and we're going to call this business. Okay, and first two files we're going to create is going to be style.css, and of course index.php. Okay, so in style CSS, we're going to add our comment section up here. We want a theme name, which we're just going to call business theme. Okay, we're going to need author, say author URI. Let's do description. And version. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is open up our HTML file. HTML template. And I'm going to grab everything that's in that style.css. Okay, we're going to copy that. We're going to put it right in here. Save it. And then let's also take what we have in our index.html file. And we'll copy all that. And we'll paste that in the index.php file. Okay, now we want to bring over some of these files to our theme. Okay, so let's go to, you want to go to your WordPress installation, and we're going to go into themes and then business. We're going to bring over the Bootstrap and the Font Awesome CSS files into a folder called CSS in our theme. Okay, we're also going to bring over fonts.js and the image folder. Alright, now let's go back to the index.html file, or I'm sorry, index.php file, and save that. And then let's just make sure we can activate the theme. So we're going to go to themes, and then we have this business theme. I actually have a screenshot that I'm going to put in there as well, which you should have in your program files. And just paste that right there in the root, and now that should show up. Alright, so let's go ahead and activate it, and if we go to the front end and reload, we just see our static HTML. Alright, so let's start to work on this index.php file. So right here we have this lang equals en. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to make this dynamic by using the language attributes function. Okay, and then we're going to need the char set. So we're going to just get rid of what we have right here. And we're going to say PHP blog info char set. Okay, viewport, that stuff can stay. Now for the title, we're going to change that. We're going to say blog info excuse me, name. Now for the CSS files, this main style.css, we're going to just replace this with PHP blog info, and we want style sheet URL. Alright, and then for these two, we have to, what's wrong with my mouse? We have to use our template URL here before we go into the CSS folder. So we're going to put in our PHP tags, and we're going to use blog info again, except we're going to use template URL. Okay, we want to do that for Bootstrap and for Font Awesome. Alright, so let's save that and reload. Okay, so now you can see it's reading those CSS files. And if we look at our console just to make sure, alright, so it's just telling us that these images aren't there, which is fine for now. Now we're also going to need to include the WP head function within the HTML head. Alright, and then that should be it for the head area for now. In the body tag, we want to include the body class function. So we're going to say PHP body class. Now for the menu, we're going to use that WP nav walker class that we used in the past. So let's see. Okay, we're going to want to put that. I'm going to just grab it here. Now this will be in your project folder. Okay, so that's going to go right in the root of the theme. Now we're going to go and create a functions PHP file in our theme. I keep doing that. Alright. And we need to require that file. Okay, so we'll say require once. We want to require once WP underscore bootstrap underscore navwalker.php. So we'll save that. Let's go back into index. And what we're going to do is replace this entire nav tag. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to say, we're going to open up some PHP tags. And then in here, we're going to say WP underscore nav underscore menu. And that's going to take in an array. Okay, and we're going to say theme location. That's going to be set to primary. Okay, we're only going to have one menu location in this theme. Next, we'll say depth and we're going to set that to let's set that to 2. Okay, then we got container. That's going to be false. Menu class. Now, menu class, we're going to use what we did have in the HTML, which I forget, so I'm going to have to just look at that real quick. Okay, so we want this class right here, nav pills, and pull right. So we'll put that right here. Okay, next, let's see, we're going to do fallback, and these need quotes. So fallback. And the value we want to put here is WP underscore bootstrap underscore nav walker, and then we want to do a double colon and then fallback. Alright, and the last thing we need to include is the walker value. Okay, this is going to be new WP underscore bootstrap underscore nav walker, and that's a function. So let's save that and see what we get. Okay, so there's nothing there right now. What we're going to do is go into the back end. And actually, before we can do that, we need to go back to functions. And we're going to set up our theme setup function. Okay, so we'll say function business underscore theme underscore setup. And let's do register nav menus. Pass in an array. And it's just going to have one value. We're going to say primary and primary menu. And if we go and reload, oh, we gotta do the add action. Okay, the hook we want here is after theme setup. And then the next parameter will just be the name of this function. Okay, so now, oh, it's still not there. Oh, it's after setup theme, not theme setup. Okay, so now we have a menus option. If we click on that, we want, let's see, home and sample page, that's good. Now right here, theme locations, you want to make sure you choose primary menu and save. Now if we go to the front end and reload, there's our menu. Okay, which works. The active classes also work. So the next thing we want to do is the logo. Now we've done this before where we've used the WP customizer to be able to add a custom logo. So we'll go back to our functions PHP file and go into the business theme setup function. And all we need to do here, very easy, we just need to say add theme support. And we want to pass in here custom logo. Alright, and then in the index file, we're going to go to where we want the logo. We're going to replace this. And we're going to replace it with a conditional. We're going to say if, and this will also have an else. Okay, so we're going to check for the custom logo by saying if has custom logo. Then we want to spit that out, so we'll say PHP the custom logo. Else, okay, if there is no logo, then we want just the name. Okay, so blog info name. Alright, let's go back and reload. Now we don't have an actual logo yet. We didn't upload one, so it's just giving us the name, okay, the name of the site. So let's test it out, make sure we can upload a logo. We're going to go to Customize and Site Identity, and you should have this logo area. I'm going to say Select Logo, and let's see, where can I get this? Business HTML, Image, and Logo PNG. Okay, we're going to select that, and then I'm just going to crop it. Crop image, save, go to the front end, reload, and there we go. Now there's a space above the header here, and the reason for that is because that's where the admin menu goes. To get that to show up, we're going to go down to the bottom of our HTML, and we're just going to say WP footer. Okay, and that will add that menu. Now, before we end this video, I just want to split up the header and the footer into their own files. So let's go and create a new file. Save this as header.php. Create another one, and that's going to be footer.php. Now, in the index page, let's go ahead and take out what we want to put in the header. So that's going to be from the very top down to this div right here just above the Jumbotron. So we're going to cut that, and let's replace it with get header. Okay, and then we're just going to paste what we have in the header file, and then let's go back to index, and let's go from the bottom all the way up to where the footer starts. Okay, so we're going to cut that, and we're going to replace that with get footer. Okay, paste that in the footer, save, and let's make sure everything's okay, which it is. So we're going to go ahead and stop here, and in the next video we're going to start to set up our custom home page, and we're going to be using the WP Customizer to handle the showcase area as well as these boxes. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. In this video we're going to create our custom front page along with the showcase and boxes here, which we'll be able to customize using WP Customizer. Alright, which is something that we haven't done before. So let's go and create a new file in our theme, and we're going to save it as front-page.php. Alright, and if we go and reload, it's a blank page automatically because it's looking at this file for the home page. So what I'm going to do is copy everything that's in the index page and then paste it in there, and then we should get the same thing back. Alright, so we want to edit some stuff here, but before we do that, we're gonna create our custom sections in the customizer. So in the customizer here, you can see that we have 3 sections: site identity, menus, and static front page. And what I'm going to show you how to do is to create your own custom sections. We're going to have one for the banner, and we're going to have one for the boxes. Alright, before we do that, let's go. Let's see, we're going to go back and go into pages, and I want to create 2 new pages. One's going to be home, and that doesn't need any content, and then another one which will be called blog, which also doesn't need any content. And then if we go to settings, reading, we're going to set a static page as the front page. We're going to choose home, and then the post page we're going to choose blog. Okay, that way we can have menu items that go to these pages. If we go back to the front end, nothing's changed. Alright, so let's go back to the customizer. Okay, and then we're going to go to our functions.php file, and this is where we're going to do everything. We're going to add a new section, we're going to add a setting, and a control. So what we need to do is say function, we're going to create a function called business customize underscore register. Alright, and that's going to take in a WP underscore customize variable. Alright, and this is where we can put all of our stuff. Now we're going to need an action to hook into. So down here we're going to say add action. Okay, the hook is going to be customize register. Second parameter is going to be the function that we just created. Alright. Okay, now we're going to go in here, and first thing we want to do is create a new section. Okay, so this is going to be the banner section. So to do that, we're going to take that WP customize variable, and then we're going to call a method called add section, and that's going to take in the section name, which will be banner, and then an array, and in this array we're going to include a title, which will be, we're going to use the language function here, or I'm sorry, localization function, and let's say banner, and then the theme, which is going to be business. Okay, we can also have a description, and we're going to use the sprintf function here, and in here we're going to use our localization function, and let's say options for homepage banner. Alright, and then another parameter which will be the theme name of business. Okay, next thing we're going to set is the priority. And we're going to set that to 130. Alright, so that should create the section. Let's go ahead and save it. And it's not showing up yet. And it's not showing up because we don't have any settings or controls in that section yet. So let's do that. We're going to go right under what we just did, and let's do the heading setting. Okay, so the heading will be the H1 that displays. Okay, so we're going to take that WP customize object, and we're going to call add setting. Okay, and then that's going to take in the setting, which will be banner heading. And then second parameter will be an array, and we're going to say default. Okay, the default, we're going to use this underscore X, and then the default text, which will just say banner heading. Alright, and the next thing we need here, the next option is going to be the type. And the type can either be option or theme mod. Okay, in most cases you're going to choose theme mod. Alright, and that's it for the setting. Now, this takes care of the setting, but we still have no control for inside the customizer, so we need to create that as well. So this will be the heading control. And I'm just going to copy this actually. Okay, except we want to change this to add control, and we want this banner heading, and then down here we're going to change this to label, and for the label we'll just say heading. Okay, we also need to specify the section that we want this to be in. And the section we want it to be in is the banner section. Okay, and then we also want to set priority. This is going to be 20. Alright, so let's go ahead and save it and go back and reload, and now you can see we have a new section called banner. If I click on that, you can see we have heading, and it's even filled with the default of banner heading. So I'm going to create the rest of these before we go in and I actually show you how to use them. So what we'll do is let's copy the heading, setting, and control, and then this next aspect that we want is the text of the banner. So this will be text setting and text control. Okay, let's change this to banner text. Now for the default, I'm just going to paste in some content here. Okay, type is going to be theme mod, that's fine. Change this to banner text. We'll change this to text, and that should be good. So if we save that, we go back and reload banner. Now we have the text option as well. Next we want the button text and the button URL. So I'm going to copy what we have right here, setting and control. This is going to be for the button. We'll change it to banner BTN text. And for the default, we'll just say sign up. Button text. Okay, let's also do the button URL. And I'm just going to have this be http test.com. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, good. The last field that we're going to need is actually, what is this? Missing argument 2 for X on line 52. What is this? Oh, this should have business as well. Okay. Okay, so next we need the image, and this is going to work just a little differently. So I'm going to just copy the setting and control, and this is going to be for background image setting. Let's change this to banner image. Now for the default, we're going to have to change this. Actually, we're going to just get rid of this whole thing. And actually, we want to do get blog info, because we need to get the exact directory where the images will be uploaded and also fetched from. So we're going to go to template directory. And then we're going to just concatenate on /img/banner.jpg. Okay, that's going to be the default image. Now we'll go down here, and for our control, this is going to work a little differently. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is just get rid of everything that's in the control. Alright, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say new WP underscore customize underscore image underscore control. Okay, and then we're going to pass in WP underscore customize, and then let's say banner. So that needs to be in quotes, banner underscore image, and then the next parameter will be an array. Alright, and then in this array we'll do the label, background image, We need to assign it to a section, which will be obviously banner. And then we're also going to add settings, and this will just be banner image. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that. Now we should have that banner JPEG already there. Okay, which we do. So let's go back here and reload. And now we have this background image selection. You can see it even displays what we have as a default. Now what I want to do before we actually implement any of these, I want to do the boxes. Okay, so it's going to be very similar. We're just going to create a new section. I'm actually going to do a lot of pasting in just to save time. So let's go right below here, and I'm going to paste this in. Okay, we're just adding a new section called boxes, just like we did with the banner. And then we're just going to need a bunch of settings and controls. So let's do the box 1. So I'll paste it in, I'm going to go over it. Okay, so box 1 heading setting, that'll be this right here. And for default, we're just going to say box 1 heading. I don't know why these are so far over. Alright, and then the type is theme mod. And then we have the control for box 1 heading. Right here we have the text setting for box 1, and then we have the text control. Okay, so pretty repetitive, but it is necessary. Here we have the icon setting. Now the icon is going to be just an input for a class. Okay, so right here the default is going to be bar chart, which will be this icon. So all you have to do is add the correct class name and it'll change that icon. Alright, so that's all box 1. Next we'll do box 2. So let me paste this in. Okay, so we have box 2 heading. This is box 2 heading control. Then we have the box 2 text setting, box 2 text control, and box 2 icon setting and control. Okay, now we need box 3. Alright, so we have box 3 heading, setting and control. We have box 3 text and box 3 icon. Okay, which by default is going to be just desktop. So let's go ahead and save that and go and reload our customizer. And now we have a boxes section with all the different fields. Now what I like to do is, instead of having functions PHP so packed, I'm going to cut out all of the stuff we just did as far as the customizer. So from here all the way down to the add action, we're going to cut that out. And what we're going to do is create a new folder in our theme called INC for includes. And then we'll create a new file. We're going to call this customizer.php. Okay, and then we'll paste everything in there. Make sure we add PHP tags. Alright, we'll save it and then go back to functions, and then we just need to require it. So we'll say require once. Actually, we'll just do require. And we don't need that. So we'll just say require, and then we want get template directory. and then /inc/customizer.php. Okay, let's make sure that everything is still there. Alright, good. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to take those fields and all the settings that we just created and actually implement them in the front end. Alright, so in the last video I showed you how to create new sections and settings in the customizer. Now I'm going to show you how to actually implement the values that were entered. Alright, so I'm in the frontpage.php file right now, and if we go to the front end, you can see that nothing's changed, okay, because we haven't implemented these changes or these values. So let's go into our Jumbotron markup here, and this is where we're going to add some code. So the H1, which is just Jumbotron heading, and you can see it here. Alright, there's no background image yet, so that's why we can't see the white text on white. But let's go ahead and add PHP, and then we're going to say echo get theme mod. Okay, that's the function that we need to use, and then we're going to pass in here banner_heading. Alright, so if we save that and we go and reload, you'll see that it's gone. There's nothing there. This value isn't showing up. Now the reason for that is, even though we put a default, let's take a look at Customizer, and we did put a default value of banner heading. All this default is for the back end. So this here, that's where this text is coming from. It doesn't provide a default for the front end. To provide a default for the front end, we just have to add a second parameter. So we could just go in here and say banner heading, save it and reload, and now we get banner heading. Okay, now even though we have a default here, if we change it in the customizer, that's what's going to show up. So if I change this now to, let's say, showcase heading, and we go ahead and you can see that it actually updated here as well. If I save it and we go and reload, now we get showcase heading. Okay, so that's how that works. Now we're going to want to do the same thing for these other values, so let's copy that and we'll put this right in here. We'll paste that, and this is going to be banner text. Alright, and then if it's going to take the default from here. So what we can do is copy what we put as a default here, which is this sentence or a couple of sentences. Okay, and we'll paste that right in here. Okay, so now it's coming from here because it's a default. Now, even though we saved this before, this didn't take effect because it wasn't changed. Alright, so if we want to just make sure that this changes, let's just say test, save, go back, and you see we get test. Okay, we'll just change that back. So the heading and the text are all set. Now for the button, let's copy that, and then for the button text, we're just going to paste that right in here, and we'll change this to banner btn text, and then right here we'll change this to sign up today. Okay, so now we get the button text. Now for the link, change this to button URL, and we'll make that http test.com. Okay, so that's all set. Now what we need to do is the background. Okay, so right now the value is coming from our CSS. So let's go to Style CSS, go to Jumbotron, and this is where it's coming from. So what we're going to do is just cut that out completely, and then we're going to go back into front page. Actually, you know what? We don't want to go in front page. We want to go in the header because we need to add a CSS style. So let's go right under the WP head. We'll say style, and let's do dot jumbotron background, and then we're going to paste that. We're going to paste, no, I'm going to paste that or like that, and then we're going to just get rid of this because this is now going to come from the theme mod. So let's copy one of these. Okay, and then we're going to just paste that in there. Change this to banner image, and then the default. Okay, so for the default, we'll say get blog info, template underscore URL, and then we want to go to /image /banner.jpg. Alright, so let's save it. Let's go back and reload, and there we go. Now, just to test out the customizer, let's change this. And I'm going to say change image, and I have a test image on my desktop. We're going to choose that. Okay, it updates here. Let's save it, go to the front end, reload, and there it is. Alright, now if we want to go back to the original, we can say remove, and then just click default, save, and then it comes back. Alright, so you can see this customizer is really helpful in customizing your themes. Now, we could have done just a widget here like we have in the past, but I think that this is kind of a better option. Alright, so let's move on to the boxes. Okay, we're going to go back to front page, and this is all set now, the Jumbotron. And what I'm going to do is just copy one of these. Okay, now this one here is going to be box 1 heading. I think that's it. Is that what we called it? Yeah, box 1 heading. Change that to box 1 heading. Okay, then this one here will be box 1 text. And I'm just going to copy this text here. Okay, now for the icon, see where we have bar chart? We're going to keep this FA dash, and we're just going to replace this. Oops. Okay, we're just going to replace that. And this will be box 1 underscore icon. And then the default for that will be bar chart. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just copy this block div, and then we'll replace these two. Okay, and then we'll just change a couple things. So this one is box 2, so we'll change that. These. And let's see, for the default for the icon, I'm going to change it to code. Okay, this one down here, this is box 3. And we're going to change the default icon to desktop. So let's go ahead and reload. And now these values are coming from the customizer. So take a look at this last icon, the desktop. We're going to go in here, boxes, let's say box 3 icon. I'm going to change it to laptop. And you can see here it's changed to a laptop. If I save it, go back, reload, turns into a laptop. Okay, so really simple. So that's going to be it. That's how we can implement our customizer values. In the next video, we're going to take care of these widgets, okay? These 2 widgets as well as the 3 in the footer. So I'll see you in the next. Alright, so we have our front page almost done. We have our customizer functionality complete. Now we want to fix, or not fix, but implement the widgets down here at the bottom. So first thing we'll do is open up functions PHP, and we're going to have to register and initialize all of our widget locations. So let's go down here and say widget locations. We're going to create a function here called init widgets, and that's going to take in an ID, widget ID, and then we're going to say register underscore sidebar. Even if it's not a sidebar widget, you still use register sidebar, and that takes in an array. Oops. Okay, we want to give it a name, and this is going to be called content region 1. Next we're going to need an ID, and that's going to be same thing, just in lowercase and no spaces. And then we can do before widget and after widget. We can do the same thing with the title. So we'll say before title and after title. Now what we want to put here before widget is the markup that we have in our page. So if we go to front page and go down to right here, okay, this is the widget. We're going to get from here all the way to here, okay, and this is what we want before the widget. So let's cut it out, and we're going to go and put that right here. Let's just put these on the same line. Okay, I'm actually going to just make this wider. Okay, so that's before widget. Now after, we'll take this and we'll put that after widget. Okay, now before title, I think it has an H1. Yeah, it has an H1, so that's what we'll put here. And we'll save that. Now, all we need here now is the dynamic sidebar call. And I'm just going to paste that in. Okay, so what it's doing is it's checking to see if there's any widgets in that position. And if there is, then it's going to display it. And it's also going to include the markup that we put in before and after widget. So now what we'll do is the content region 2. So we're going to be doing the same thing. Let's copy this. And this will be content region 2. Now for the before and after, that's going to be a little different, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We want to take this. Now I'm not going to include this 5 column and 7 column. This isn't going to be part of the widget. This can go inside the actual widget in the back end, but all we want here is this. So we'll take that and we'll put it right here. Since it's only a section and a div, that's what we need at the end as well. So this will be div section. Alright, and the H1 can stay there. So now what we'll do is copy that, put that right here, change this to 2. Okay, and then this content here we're going to need to put in the widget in the back end, but I'm just going to get rid of it for now. Alright, so we'll save that. Now we have our init widgets, but we didn't do the action, so let's say add action. And this is going to be widgets init, and then init widgets. Okay, so let's go to the back end and see if we can actually see these. Okay, so if you look down in appearance, we have this widgets option, and we have content region 1 and content region 2. So for content region 1, I'm going to bring over a text, paste in that paragraph, and then here we'll just say clean Bootstrap WordPress theme. Save it. And then for content region 2, I'm also going to bring over a text. And for this, let's see, we're going to do, actually I'm just going to paste in the markup. Alright, and this is just what we had in the template. We have a 5 column with an image, we have a 7 column with the theme features. So let's save that. Okay, now if we go to the front end, now this stuff here should be coming from the widgets. So just to test it out, say clean WordPress, let's just say test. Reload, and we get test. Alright, so that takes care of those 2 widgets. Now we also have the footer widgets we need to take care of. So let's go back to our functions PHP file, and I'm going to copy this, and this will be called footer 1. Change this to footer 1. Now before and after the widget, we're not going to have anything. And then down here, we're just going to have H4s. Okay, so we'll copy that. This will be 2. And this will be 3. Easy enough. Now back in, actually let's go in footer PHP. And we're just going to replace these 4 column divs with a 4 column div with the dynamic widget. Okay, so we get that, and this. Okay, this will be footer 2, and this will be footer 3. Save it, and if we go and reload, we get nothing down here because we need to add those widgets. So let's do that. So now we have footer 1, 2, and 3. Let's bring a text over to footer 1, and we'll just say heading, and I'm just going to paste in some text, save it, and then for footer 2 we'll also bring over text, say heading. This here is just going to be an unordered list, save that, and then footer 3, text, and this will just be a simple form. Now you can put whatever you want in these widgets. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to use just a text. You could put any of these widgets. You could install another widget and put that in there, whatever you'd like. Alright, so let's go ahead and reload, and there we go. So these three are now coming from our widget system. So the home page is now done. In the next video we're going to start to move on to the blog index page, and we'll go from there. Alright, so our front page is looking good. Now we're going to move on to the blog page. So we don't have a link for our blog, so let's go create that. We're going to go to menus and say blog, add to menu, and save menu. Reload. If we click on blog, it's basically just all static content, because we put all of our stuff, all of our code in our front page. If we look at index.php, it's still just all static. Alright, so we're going to have to change this quite a bit. First off, let's get rid of the Jumbotron. We're not going to use that. We are going to use a section for a page title, and I'm actually going to paste that in. Okay, so we have a section, has a class of title bar, and basically we're just outputting an H1 with the text of blog. Alright, now down here, these are the three boxes. We don't want those either, so we're going to get rid of that entire section. These here are the widgets, but they're still the static content. What we can do is grab the code from front page, okay, where we have these, copy that, and then we'll bring that to index, and let's replace these two sections. Okay, so save, let's take a look. Alright, so we have our title bar, we have our two widgets, and our footer widgets. Now in the middle here somewhere is where we need our content. So let's do section class, and we'll say row main. We're going to have a container, and now we're going to have a sidebar, but we only want the sidebar if there's sidebar widgets enabled. So what we'll do is we'll do an if statement here. We'll say if is active sidebar, and then pass in the text sidebar. Then we'll do an else, and then end if. Okay, so the idea that I want to do here is that if there is a sidebar, we want a div with 8 columns. If there isn't, we want a div with 12 columns, because we want it to go across the whole page. So let's go ahead and do that. So if there's a sidebar, it'll be 8. If there's not, it'll be 12. Okay, and then of course we need that div to end. And then if there's a sidebar, again, we're going to test. Okay, if there is, then we're going to want a 4-column div. Just like that. So we'll say main side. Now since there's no sidebar enabled, we should get a 12-column div. Okay, now we haven't added the sidebar widget, so let's do that real quick. We'll go to functions and just we'll copy that. Sidebar. Now I want to use Bootstrap panels. This is something that we didn't do in the HTML theme. So I'm just going to paste this in. You guys can copy it. We just have a div with the class of panel, panel default, and sidebar widget. Before the title, we have panel heading with an H3 with panel title. So we'll save that. Alright, now let's go back into, well actually before we do that, let's just put in our sidebar. That. Okay, and then let's focus on the main content now. So of course we want to check for posts. So we'll say if have posts then we want our while loop. So we're going to say PHP while have posts. Okay, and then we got to do the post. Alright, and then in here we'll have our article, and that'll have a class of post. Actually, you know what? Instead of typing this all out, let's just copy what we have in the HTML file. Okay, so I just want to grab the article. And after the article, let's just put a class of clear, and then we'll close that. Alright, now this is obviously just static content, so let's just see what it looks like first. Okay, so that's good. Now we want to just replace the static content with dynamic stuff. Okay, so let's do the image. Get rid of that. I'm going to put a div here, and we'll give it a class of post thumbnail, and then inside there let's check to see if there is a thumbnail, and if there is, we'll display it. Okay, just paste that in, and then for the read more, I'm going to replace that with an A tag that goes to the permalink, and oops, get rid of that. Alright, so that's good. Now down here where we have the meta, I'm going to replace the user here and the link with this. Okay, we're just going to get author post URL. You want to pass in as a parameter get the author ID and then the author. Okay, for the date, this is really easy. We can just say PHP the time, and then we'll just add some formatting in here. Okay, and then the categories, I'm going to just replace that. This is kind of long. We have to get the array and then kind of loop through it. So let me just paste that in. Okay, so from here to here, that gets the categories and displays them. Then down here, this is the easy part. We just need the title. We can say PHP the title. And then here will be the excerpt. Alright, let's go ahead and reload. Okay, so now this is all dynamic. We're not seeing the image because we don't have one yet. Alright, we need to add the ability to actually have an image. So let's go to functions PHP. We're going to go up to the business theme setup function. And we just need to add that functionality. So add theme support for post thumbnails. Okay, now we can go to our back end, and I'm going to go to posts, blog post 1. Down here we have the featured image. I'm going to go ahead and set that. And let's see. I'm going to grab blog1.jpg and set that as the featured image. Update. Okay, we'll do the same thing in blog post 2. Set that. Update. Now if we go to the front end, we have our images. The width is correct, but we need to set the height to auto. So let's go to our style sheet, and we should have article post image right here. We'll say height auto. Okay, now we need some space up here, so let's go to where we have the title bar. Should be somewhere in here. Right here. Let's just add margin bottom 20 pixels. Okay. So that looks good. Now for the sidebar widget, let's do that. Let's go to Appearance Widgets, and I'm going to grab the categories and bring that to the sidebar. And we're also going to bring over the archives. Okay, now if we reload, now we have our sidebar, and you can see that the width adjusted correctly. I want to make these look a little different. I'm going to add some CSS to make this green, and then also fix up the LIs. So let's go into our CSS. I'm just going to add in for my panel heading, give it the green background. Alright. And then the sidebar widget styling. Okay, this is for the LI. We'll add some padding, a border to the bottom, actually a border around the whole thing. And there we go. If we click on technology, shows us those posts, business. Alright, so that's working great. Now, in the next video, we're going to take care of the single view. Okay, because right now it doesn't look too good. It looks just like the blog roll. And we'll also take care of the archived posts, because when we click on, let's say, a category, we want the category name to be up here. Okay, so we'll get to that next. Alright, so in this video we're going to take care of some of the other post pages. So the single page, if I click read more, the single page looks like this, which we don't want. Alright, so let's go and create a new file in our theme folder, and we're going to save this as single.php. Alright, now if we go and we reload this page, it's going to be completely blank. Alright, and what we're going to do is go to our index.php. We're going to copy everything there and then paste it in single. Okay, now with the single, we want this, the title bar, to have the title of the actual article of the post. So we want the while loop to go way up here. Alright, so let's take this, cut it, and then put that up at the top right here. And then what we can do is just take this out and just say the title. Okay, then we'll go back down here. And we're not going to want the 5 column and 7 column layout. We want it all to be in one column. So let's change this to 12. Actually, you know what? We don't even need that. Let's get rid of that. And then get rid of that div. Actually, no, we want that div. That goes with the post thumbnail. Let's see. We don't want the read more. Okay, this, we can get rid of that. This 7 column div, this ends here. We can get rid of that. Okay, so we have the thumbnail, then we have the meta, then we have this title, we don't need that. So we'll put a line break right here, and then this is going to be the content. Okay, let's check that out. Okay, so that looks good. You can see we have the title of the post right here now. We're not going to get to the comments just yet. We'll do that later on. So now I want to do the archive page. If we click on, let's say, business, we want business to show up right here. So what we can do is create a new file in our theme called archive. Archive.php. And then we'll copy what's in index, paste that in, and all I really want to change is the title bar up here. So in this H1, I'm going to paste in a big piece of code. Okay, we've used this in past projects. We'll see if it's a category, archive. If it is, we'll put out the title. If it's an author, we're going to put out that, and so on. So let's save it, go back to our archive page, reload, and now it says business. If I click on the user admin, we get this. Okay, so yeah, that's good. And I guess we could do the comments now. I was going to wait, but we have quite a bit of time left, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's go to single.php, and we're going to go down to where we have end if right here. Right under it, we're going to say PHP comments template. Alright, now if we go and we look at a single page, we have comments functionality. Alright, but it doesn't look too good. So what we'll do is create a custom template. Let's go to our theme and say new file, comments.php. And we'll have a div with the class of comments. Alright, and we have some code I'm just going to paste in. Actually, let's put a heading first. Alright, and then this PHP I'm going to just grab real quick. Okay, so this is an argument array with just some of the default options here. This is actually copied from the documentation. And then down here we're calling WP list comments, where we pass in those arguments. Alright, now for the form, I'm going to paste that in. Same thing, we have some arguments such as the label of the submit button, the title reply, and so on. And then we're calling comment form and passing in those args. So let's save that, reload. Okay, so it's changed a little, but it still doesn't look very good. So now what we need to do is style it. So let's go to Style CSS. We'll go all the way to the bottom. And let's put in our comments class. We'll say border 1 pixel solid. Let's add some padding. We'll say margin bottom will be 20. And then I also want to do margin top. That'll be 10. Okay, now we need the headings. We have comments H2 and comments H3. I'm going to do a background of that green color. So that's, what is it, 0FA F97. Color will be white. And padding, we'll say 5 pixels. Next will be the comment body. Border. Let's see, margin bottom 10. Say padding 2010. Now the meta styling I'm going to paste in. We have comment meta image, and comment meta time. Okay, then we have the reply link and the form. Okay, so just copy that, save it, we'll reload, and now we have a nice looking comments area. Alright, so we're just about done. The last thing I want to do is the page. Okay, so if we go to sample page, it looks like the blog roll, which is not what we want. So what we'll do is create a new file, and we'll save it as page.php. Okay, if we reload, that should go blank. And what we want to do is let's just grab what we have in the single.php. And we'll paste that in page. Alright, now we're going to get rid of the comments template line right here. Of course, we don't want that. And then for the content itself, it's going to be really simple. We don't want this meta UL. We can get rid of that. And let's see. We'll get rid of we'll keep the thumbnail. But I think that should be it. Let's change it from article class post to class page. Okay, we'll take a look. Sample page. Alright, let's just put a line break down here. There we go. Okay, so I think we're there. We have our customizer working, so we can edit the front page. Blog page looks good. Single page with comments looks good. So I think we're all set. So this is a pretty good looking template. I think it looks nice and clean. It uses Bootstrap, which is good. Font awesome, so you can add icons easily. Alright, so hopefully you guys like this project, and I'll see you in the next one.